Well, enough is enough of the years of abuse from this president. His unsecured border crisis, for me, is the last straw. It makes kind of the battered wife say, no mas, that's enough. Enough is enough. Without borders, there is no nation. Obama knows this. Opening our borders to a flood of illegal immigrants has been deliberate. And this is his fundamental transformation of America. And I think it's the only promise that he has kept. Discrediting the price paid for America's exceptionalism over our history, over these centuries, he's given false hope, our president has. And he's given taxpayers change. Maybe that's the hope and change he talked about. False hope, taxpayers change. He's given these to millions of foreign nationals who want to sneak into our country illegally. Now, it's because of Obama's purposeful dereliction of duty that an untold number of illegal immigrants will kick off their shoes and come on in. They'll be competing against Americans for our sparse and sparse number of jobs and limited public services. There is no end in sight as our president prioritizes parties, overdoing the job that he was hired by voters to do. Securing our borders is obviously fundamental here. It goes without saying that it is his job, the president's job. The federal government, as you know, trillions of dollars in debt. Many cities are on the verge of insolvency. Our overrun healthcare system and police forces and social services, our schools, and our unsustainable, generous welfare state programs, they're already stretched to the max. We average Americans, we know that. So why has this issue been allowed to be turned upside down with our leader creating such unsafe conditions while at the same time obstructing any economic recovery by creating more dependence than he allows producers? His friendly, wealthy, bipartisan elite who want cheap foreign labor and can afford for themselves the best border security money can buy in their own exclusive communities, mostly gated communities. They do not care that their friend Obama tapped us out. Have faith, though, that the average American workers, native-born and our wonderful legal immigrants who help build this country, these legal immigrants of all races, backgrounds, and political parties, well, we do care because we're the ones getting screwed as we're forced to follow all the government's rules while others are not required to do so. Many now feel like strangers in their own land. It's the American worker who is forced to deal with Obama's latest crisis with our hard-earned tax dollars. While middle-class wages decrease, sustainable jobs get more scarce, and communities become unrecognizable and bankrupted due to Obama's flood of illegal immigration. Who is looking out for the American worker? Who has their back? Who's fighting for them? We should. President Obama's rewarding of lawlessness, including his own, that's the foundational problem here. And it's not going to get any better, friends. And in fact, irreparable harm can, and I predict will be done in this lame duck term as he continues to make up his own laws as he goes along. And mark my words, he will next meddle in the U.S. court system with appointments that will forever change the basic interpretation of our Constitution's role in protecting our rights. This is what's going to happen next. So it's time to impeach. We can't let what we know is going to happen next happen. It will destroy America. It's time to impeach. And on behalf of the American workers and legal immigrants of all backgrounds, we should vehemently oppose any politician, any candidate on the left or the right who would hesitate in voting for articles of impeachment. The many impeachable offenses of Barack Obama can no longer be ignored. There's a list of at least 25 impeachable offenses that I've seen. Now, if after all of this he's not impeachable, then no one is. I'm going to talk more about this tonight on Sean Hannity's show on Fox News. I hope that you will stay tuned for that. And Sean and other hosts there are providing great coverage of what is actually going on with the border issue, along with all the other scandals that Barack Obama says are just made-up scandals. No, what he's engaged in are impeachable offenses. They include fraud on the American people, lying to the American people. And there's a list of them. I'm saying enough is enough. And I would hope that those in Congress, GOPers, listen, those in Congress who recognize and acknowledge and proclaim this lawlessness of our presidents. Our president, they say, actually is violating the Constitution. Well, and then these congressmen and women ignore the Constitution themselves and not grasp that tool that they have, that the Constitution has created for them, the articles of impeachment, that whole process, for them to not do their job and do what the Constitution has empowered them to do to stop this lawlessness of this imperial presidency we're under. Well, then Congress isn't doing their job. You know what, America? We get the government that we ask for. We get the government that we voted for. We get the government that we continue to support. We don't have to support what's going on. Government is obviously to be of the people, by the people, for the people. It's up to us to make the change. If our voice is loud enough, if we are united, all parties, all races, all demographic representation, if we all come together united and say, no, Mr. Obama, enough is enough, and your subordinates, this lawlessness will not be accepted anymore by the people who hired you to do your job. Your job is to protect the Constitution. You're not doing it. We're in a lot of trouble, and things are only going to get worse until we send this message that it is time to impeach.